Okay. So, yeah, I was saying to Casey, like, the lesson plan that I sent out before kind of had two parts. We did like a storytelling conventions, which I feel like, knowing how you feel about things, I was like, quick, let's watch this video before Vivian shows up because she's probably sick about hearing about the hero's journey. But there is a pretty good 3-minute summary video on the hero's journey that I was definitely like, oh, this is pretty good, even if you don't like it.
It's fine. I just hate when people say that's the only kind of storytelling that exists.
Yeah, because it's definitely not.
Then I just have to fight them. It becomes a whole thing.
Yeah, you're like, I'm the savvier in your face.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But I am definitely a believer in it's good to know. But yeah. And so yeah, we can watch this quick. It's 3+ minutes. And so I'll share my screen and play this little thing. Because yeah, basically that, and I think Zen got a lot out of it just with the project that she's working on. But again, I don't know how much it maybe applies to either one of you, but I think it's still a good thing to check. And we can discuss in a second. So I mean, and obviously, yeah, you have heard of the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
GoToMeeting has this new transcription feature. It automatically transcribes the whole meeting. You don't have to worry about anything.
Wow.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the lottery. How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo.
Without a college,
So, thoughts, reactions, totally pointless. Wait, stop share. That's how.
That's the hero's journey.
That's it. Yep. You know,
That sure is a basic description of things I've learned many times.
yes.
I think in high school, I mean, I went over it a lot of times in school, but I think
Oh, okay.
we went over it, and the example they used was Luke Skywalker. And now whenever I hear the hero's journey, I'm like, oh yes, my little twink boy, the winiest Jedi in all the galaxies.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the hero's journey is very heteronormative, very, misogynistic in its construct. I mean, not necessarily inherently, but it's hard, seemingly been hard to apply that template to people who don't conform to the idea of what a hero is.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and definitely every time I looked for some video about this, it was a lot of he does this and he does that. And even if you look up, I was like, oh, yeah, prototypical hero or whatever I searched. And it was Luke Skywalker, all these. You have to specifically look up women or female, hero's journey. And then it's all white women. It's so I was okay, women of color. Yes. So it's a whole thing, which we all know, obviously.
Okay.
But, so I don't know if you guys have ideas in terms of I don't know. I mean, since you are honestly, especially Vivian, more looking at alternative structure formats, other stuff that I could incorporate at least, or ideas that would be helpful for me. Maybe writers or people that we could look to, people that you look to.
I mean, I really think that a story can kind of come in so many different structures. You don't want to get really tied down to this as the structure. I think sometimes early when people are learning about writing, they get attached to this and they think, oh, every story has to have somebody start like this, and they go through these steps in this order, and then they end here. And sure, that's a way to tell a story, and it might not even be bad, but they'll end up kind of getting a little formulaic after a while.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking this up because I'd found it somewhere and I was trying to remind myself what the hell I was talking about. A student of Joseph Campbell's wrote a book called The Heroine's Journey, which kind of proposes a separate common type of journey that women in mythology and stories tend to go through with different steps and everything. And those are still both just two very generic archetypes. But it's also at
least it's framed in a different way.
Yeah. And part of its whole thing is talking about the values, what somebody gets out of it and how they go about it, and what the big point of it is different.
Mm-hmm.
That's still coded very gender binary and stuff, but
it's something at least a little.
I think it's more helpful to talk about it for me in an English class kind of way. We're analyzing stories and it fits into this. Mm-hmm. We can talk about how this is a common framework and why these things are in this order and why this is the point or the value trying to be imparted, but that's my thing.
Okay, cool. So that's a thing. And I think, not even last week on Monday, this is something Zen had not heard of before. And I think it was, she's working on this personal piece about her experience through homelessness. And so it actually really did quite neatly fit into the journey. And she was like, oh my gosh, I see this. And I see all these points along this map. And framed in her through her thing. So I was like, okay, cool, great.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there's some things that it like works for,
Yeah.
which is cool. And then the thing that we didn't really get to go through is like story development tools, which I mean, these may or may not be, you know, familiar to you. But, you know, I think there, you know, I just find that some people, I mean, especially like, I think people come to Digital Dove with like different levels of like writing. And so I think like a lot of people, and I mean, even me, it's like you actually can't really go straight to script, right? It's like, oh, people think they sit down and they write a script. And it's like, no, there's so much process work before that.
I mean, you can. It just usually ends up making stories that I personally hate.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about them.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's you, especially if you don't have any experience writing, it's just kind of a mess. And then you end up having to like, you're like doing all your process work in a script format and you've written a 400-page script and you're like, what is this?
It's almost worse than just trying to sit down and write a book without thinking about it before, because at least you don't have to tell us everything. Everything has to end up on screen. If you make somebody jump or not explain them doing something, then they just didn't do it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, what? What just happened? Yeah, so I mean, that was kind of the point of this is was to just go through like, oh, what are these like process things that you can do? Because I think a lot of the time people are like, what is an outline? What does that even mean? So, and some of these are like more focused on documentaries since it's kind of what Zen was working on. And I mean, I find particularly useful like card outlines, like once you've actually shot stuff. So it's like, oh, you know, you look through all the scenes that you've collected, put them all on a card and kind of like what the beats are or the potential beats of that scene. Like, you know, if you film the meeting of your subjects, like mom and brother after like 20 years apart, it's like, what is that accomplishing in your story? And just like lining all of those things up. I think card outlines to me are more useful when you at least know who your characters are, kind of what their general arc is, like what they're trying to accomplish. And then you can really look at like what your scenes are and are they like progressing your story towards your ultimate goals of, you know, whatever those characters are trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And then the outline that I mentioned here is kind of like, I mean, it's obviously useful for, I think this is probably the most useful. But I think people are like, I think that this outline, this idea, and then this Blake Snyder beat sheet. Have you seen that before?
What?
The Blake Snyder beat sheet.
Maybe.
It's kind of like, it like breaks apart like 3/5 act structure and like puts a name to each point in your structure and like is like, okay, like here's the bits that like this should happen by this time, and you know, like kind of makes it like
I've definitely seen stuff like that. I just don't know if I've seen
like it called that. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a good tool for anybody who's really trying to write a feature in sort of in that mode. It's nice how they break everything down, you know, what each beat is supposed to be. So you can kind of like have some kind of concept of like, okay, am I getting to the midpoint when the bad guys close in, like that idea of building stakes. So yeah, that's, I think that is like a more templated version of like what I'm mentioning up at the top, which is just the outline when you're actually just thinking of like, okay, well, where do I need to get to? Like, what are the things? And I think, so that's why I included this link to this Google Doc of like an episode that I outlined. Ah! Ah! Hi, you want to come say hi? Do you have words? No? Okay, that's okay.
Same mood.
It's like, why? Why are you here? But not here. She's always like, oh, you're talking to your friends? I'm like, yeah. There she goes. Little slug. Okay, so anyway, yeah, at the top of page 2 on this outline, I have this link to, it was like a, an outline that I wrote for like a true crime show that I worked on. And in that way, I just wanted to kind of show, like, it's not like this. I mean, it is similar to a 5-act structure, but like when you're working in a format kind of show, it's like there's gonna be like, what are all these silly things they say here? Let me copy this link. Like they're always gonna say, and I will say it's kind of fun to like write within that because it's like way easy. It's like way easier. So when you're on a timeline, you're just like, oh, okay, so I have to, oh yeah. So that when you're on a timeline and they're just like, oh, here you go. These are the things that we want to hear in are in your episode. Oh no. She probably can't have Jello. So yeah, I don't know if, or if you want to take a look, here's this link to this thing. But yeah, she, so like in the format of this show, they wanted to see, so what is it called? The show was called A Lie to Die For. So the idea was that there was a lie that caused someone to die. A very deep thing. But like along the way, they wanted all these kind of like tent poles. And so like that's this tiny outline up at the top. And that's why it's like, I think my point in just sharing this is that it's like, as long as you know what your story, what you are trying to accomplish in each phase of your story, like whatever that is, like that's really a structure. Like to go to your point, like your structure can be anything. So it's like, in this realm of this little show, like our structure was, there's a lie. The lie is teased right at the top. And then the seed, which was always sort of a slippery concept because it's like people were like, well, is that the seed or is that the lie? But the seed, the idea was like, okay, this is a little bit the context of the fertile ground that allows the lie to bloom. There she goes. I'll see you soon. Don't worry. You see me so much now. Oh my God. It's like too much. So sick of me. And then it unfurls, that's like, that would correspond, I guess, to the idea of the hero's journey with the, there's supposed to be like raising stakes and, what do they call that? The approach, right? And then the inflection is the same as the turning point, the second act turning point. And then obviously the catch up is the resolution. So it's like, and then, so yeah, my point in sharing this was just to show that like, as long as you know what each little phase of your story is trying to convey, then that is a structure. And that how simple a structure can be, where it's like, okay, this is lie, seed, unfurl, inflict, and catch. It's like, it's 5 words or 5 points, And then I think that this kind of whole thing together is good at like showing, or at least decent in showing like how you expand on those little ideas of whatever your story plot is. It's like, oh, okay. And it's like, it's nothing that complicated. It's not in a script form necessarily, but it still shows like, what are the images that you're seeing? What are, what are the things that you're hearing and the points moving your story forward. So that is that. And it doesn't exactly neatly line up because it's 5 points in the structure, but like the breaks in the show were like, we needed 6 act breaks. So, but usually the unfurling would just cross over 2 acts. Hi, Boo. She's a cat.
Me too.
That's just what she does. So that's what I had to say about that. It's my kitty. But yeah, so those are the 2 main things I think that are like most. That's my monkey. Yeah, turning 3 tomorrow.
Wonderful. Beautiful.
So wonderful. Yeah. What else? So, and 2 column outline. I mean, I think really neither one of you are doing documentary or news type things. So that was really more for like Zen or somebody who's doing something like that. But, basically the concept of that, and there's a link to it if you want to check it out. It's just 2 columns, audio and visual on one side, and they line up. So it's like, oh, when somebody's reading them across, be like, oh, okay, there's pictures of birds and then sounds of dogs barking, and that doesn't make sense, but, or whatever. Then there's pictures of dogs and pictures of birds barking, and then you realize, oh my God, the world is upside down. And that's storytelling. Basically.
Because birds aren't real.
And then I did have some examples at the bottom of this that I think one thing when I write lesson plans, I probably have like 3 lesson plans in one lesson plan, and then I don't realize that until later. But it's, I'm just kind of trying to throw things in that I think people will be interested in. So I did put some experimental documentaries at the bottom, since that's kind of what Zen was working on. And yeah, and I think that might conclude my presentation. But it would be good. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Do you have anything to add as far as like process, like things that you find useful, or like methods that either one of you use to like organize your thoughts, or even get them out,
Bold of you to assume I can do either of those things. I'll let you know.
I've got. Mhm.
What?
I'll let you know if I figure it out.
Working on it.
I've got a theory more than something I actually necessarily do, because that would require me to actually do something. Hypothetically, if I were doing things, I just tend to do, I just do a lot of the process stuff before I end up writing things. I like to know, you end up with detailed outlines for the script, but also because I tend to be more interested in like long-term television show stuff, and it's not just individual episode, it's like a season or multiple season details, as well as like where an individual episode fits within that. Like, you can do it like 5 different ways. You can look at it from a plot perspective, or like a character perspective. You can look at it from like a season perspective, or like a whole show perspective. you really just keep going.
Yeah.
You can always
Oh,
find a
sure.
reason that you're not done yet.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, just keep writing. I mean, I know that you tend to, I think this was you, right? That like you just will have one character and just write a bunch on that one person and just like write everything that you can as far as like, you know, where are they from? What happened to them when they were a kid? Like, so write like before and after their story.
Um, yeah, not so much with me. Um, I tend to build my stuff around moments. So I'll get like a moment probably that will inspire the rest of the story to kind of unfold around it. And then yeah. Like I'll know character stuff more to do with how that might affect or actually show up in something versus like I find character sheets sometimes really unhelpful because they're written for people who are writing novels most of the time. So like,
Mm.
what does it look like when they do this? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't cast it yet.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
or it just doesn't matter to me. Like, what's their favorite food? Somebody make something up. I'm sure you'll have a good reason for it. I don't care.
Yeah. You're like pizza. Everyone's favorite food is pizza. Shut up.
Like you decided you put it in there of like, okay, that's their favorite food now. I might do something with that, I guess, if I don't know, somebody's pretending to be them or something. Like, oh no, they hate their favorite food now. What's up with that? But yeah. No, it's more about yeah, just stuff that actually shows up in there. I just tend to put a lot in there to put off actually doing it. But when I do it, it should be easier because I've done all the work beforehand. It's basically already written. It just isn't.
It's
Yeah.
all in your head. That's it. You have it all here. Let's just
Yeah.
hope you don't get like a concussion or anything.
The writer.
Suddenly tracking down everybody I've talked to, like, what do you remember about that story I told you about?
That's the beginning of your own hero's journey.
The
That's why-
question, you write something based on other people's memories. Yeah. Good time.
I think
That would actually be a hilarious.
It would be something really meta, I feel like, you know?
Yeah. That seems kind of up your alley.
you're
I'm
welcome.
not saying I won't do it. I'm just saying. I'm actually really mad because I found out that somebody stole my Star Trek idea and they're making it. But they're
Ah,
making it not as good. So I'm mad about it.
that's why you start. Yeah, you gotta start writing these things down.
I just need to like find the right time and then like come up to some Star Trek people and be like, I have the best idea for a Star Trek show. It's the funniest thing you'll ever hear in your life. And there are no downsides.
Did we? Oh, I know that we discussed. What's it called? Picard. Whatever the new.
Briefly, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I just finished DS9. I have to do Voyager, the rest of it, and Enterprise. And then Discovery and Picard, yeah.
Let me know. I'm curious to see what you think. I will
We'll have to see.
trying to just neutrality right now. No opinion, just neutrality.
So hard with new stuff, you know, something's already over, then, you know, it's already said all it's going to say. It can't change its mind about something.
Yeah.
But new things, they can have lots of things have rough starts. Lots of really good things had a start where you're like, I don't know about that. And then they pull it together later.
Well, is it just a mini series or is it gonna go on?
I thought, okay. Now I don't know. I think Picard's supposed to have a second season.
Is it? Okay, because I was like, was that a standalone? Are they just over?
Let's see. Yes.
Okay. Then okay.
Yes. It one of those things that always annoys me because you know it can never happen to like a show with a female main character or female showrunner. But it was renewed before the first episode aired. They'd already ordered a second season before they even showed us the first season.
Good for them.
They were confident about that one, yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. All right. Sort of. I don't know. Neutrality.
Yeah.
And then regarding your respective projects, so I will, as I can find time, work on putting your, well, I guess I can still ask this question first. So, or just say this. Yes. So I will work on getting your film kind of pieced together,
Mm-hmm.
kind of see where we're at with that. Are you planning to come back to LA, or are you?
Yeah. It just sort of depends on how the plague goes, you know?
Yeah. How vastly it sweeps.
So that kind of depends on how this summer goes and
Yeah.
You've already been gone for 10 years. Hurry up. Don't like it.
nobody likes it. You're not supposed to enjoy the plague.
You make a very good point.
But yeah, so it kind of depends on other things. Like obviously I'll have to get back if we're doing in school classes for the fall, then obviously I have to get back before then.
Yeah.
Not that I'll definitely stay away if that doesn't happen. It's just like getting enough job experience here to definitely get a hospital job back there, and making sure that, you know, they let us take planes places when that happens.
You can always drive.
I would have to have a car to do that.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Amtrak?
I could just hitchhike.
Yeah,
That sounds like an
Totally.
awesome idea.
Totally don't do that. I cannot advise that. I cannot advise that. That was sarcasm.
Yeah, no, my dad hitchhiked a bit around the country to get from one place to the other about, what was that, probably 40 years ago, and he was like, absolutely not, never doing that again. Just several different, you know, bad experiences.
Yeah.
Possible near-death experiences, just creepy people.
Oh yeah. See, your dad did it, so you don't have to.
Yeah, you know what? Just live vicariously. That never happened to me.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, you don't need that experience. That's fine.
I'll just walk. I'll get my steps in. I'll just walk to California.
Yeah, that's some steps.
Wait, if your parents are still willing to put in money for a car, you could find one and we could send you the rest of the money, and then you could get a car and then come back and have a car.
Yeah, and then we'd all have a car.
Yeah.
That is true. Have to find somebody selling one though. 2,000 isn't a lot for a car.
Yeah, like I said, we could send you some money for it as well.
True.
To round it off.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll, as I can, work on that. I don't have as many hours from home as I have when I was in office. So yeah, I was telling Casey before where I was like, oh, cool, I'm just gonna be at home editing and I'll get everybody's project done. I was like, that's great. No. So
we'll let you do that, huh?
no. Yeah. So yeah, but and how's your other writing going though? I know you've abandoned the one that I was like so in love with, and then
I haven't abandoned it. I've put it, you know, on hold. It's sitting in the corner. It's having a nap. It's fine.
it's dormant. It's not
Yeah.
dead. It's hibernating.
I haven't written anything.
Well, I know that there was something too that you were kind of like, well, I'm more interested in this right now. It was like a sci-fi one or something.
6 different possibilities. That
Yeah,
could be-
exactly. I was
yeah.
like, I don't know. It was something sci-fi.
Kind of, I know I probably should use this extra time to write something. Who knows if that'll actually happen.
Just a tiny seed of encouragement.
I believe in you.
Yeah, but I mean, you know,
Come back with like a bunch of different skip fragments. They're just like whatever popped into my head. And like, for this project, I have 4 lines.
but I mean, yeah, you're working, right? You're working, you're doing like
Yeah.
hospital work or whatever right now.
Mhm.
That's, you have all the right in the world to be like, hey, that's what I'm doing right now.
And I got school and stuff too. So
Yeah. So I mean,
And you guys had Easter on Sunday. We have Easter next Sunday. So
Greek
Even-
Orthodox.
yeah. Well, not Greek because that's yes, but no.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so I don't know the fine points. Orthodox.
It's like Eastern Orthodox.
East-
So like there's different like sort of subsects mostly based on ethnicity like Serbian, Russian, Greek,
Mhm.
or Antiochian, not that it matters, but you have different
Cypriot.
patriarchs. That's actually what it's called.
What?
Different patriarchs. The patriarch
Uh,
of Constantinople, of Antioch, of et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
have fun Eastering it up. Do you enjoy
It's
Easter?
a lot of food and trying to avoid waking up at 4 a.m.
Oh,
My argument is that because you're just streaming the service, I mean, I would go if it was there. But part of the thing is like being there, and then you get food afterwards. It seems like a waste just wake up and stand in front of a computer at 4 o'clock in the morning for 3 hours. I don't know about that.
yeah. I hear that.
So we'll see if that argument works, though.
I have a feeling you're going to get dragged out of bed at 4 in the morning. Sorry.
I have that feeling too.
Yeah,
But
that seems like your reality. Well, enjoy that. Hopefully the food will be good.
it will. I know what it is already.
Yeah. So there's that. You gotta earn it.
Mm. Down south, you don't get that big potluck. So
Yeah.
usually we get this big potluck and everybody brings just like a bunch of food. So if you want like a whole tray of like chicken and a whole tray of ham and a whole tray of like lamb and also like just a bunch of other food there, because nobody wants to see a salad after 2 months of only seeing a salad. So
Yeah.
pretty great food wise.
Sounds-
Now we got to make it all ourselves. The variety's gone.
Yeah. You're like, just making a ham. Giant ham. Or whatever. Yeah, what are you having?
Oh crap. Tri-tip and deviled eggs, and my mom's making one of those like baked macaroni and cheese things, and rotisserie chicken,
That's all good stuff.
something that isn't meat at some point, probably like a fruit salad. I don't know. To pretend like we would eat something else.
That all sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Then we'll just so Casey, if I send you stuff like, hey, take videos of things like this and we can try to put them in your project. Is that a thing? That is.
Yeah. It'll give me something to do.
Okay. I might in the meanwhile, like resend the list. I think I had a list a while back. And so I might resend that. And then even though I haven't looked at the most recent cut of your project, then, that's at least something, and if that stuff, and I can resend you the link to to that version of the cut, which I don't think it's changed very much. Then you can look at it and be like, oh, these might be cool if these kind of things are in it. And that would be lovely. And then I can set up like a Dropbox or something like that where you can beam to me through the internet videos.
Cool.
And we can start, because I don't think your project is like really close.
Yeah, it's
And
a small
I don't-
one.
Wait, what?
Pretty small.
Yeah, I mean it's not small. It's like a good 5 minutes. But Oh, and did you pick music or anything? Like, do you have anything that you'd want to put on there? Like, that's another thing.
I will work on that. I just downloaded, the other day I was like, you know what, I'm going to download a music program. And I did, and then I looked at it and I was like, I don't know how to use this. So maybe I'll figure out how to use it.
Okay, yeah, that would be great if you can make your own music. Yeah, that would be the perfect answer. So
We'll see.
I can slightly bother you for that if that's helpful, or I can intensely bother you for that if that's helpful. I have various levels of harassing capabilities, whichever you find most helpful.
It's probably necessary
Okay.
because nothing really exists if other people aren't like, hey, Casey,
Yeah.
other things than nothing exists. The void isn't all there is. And I'm like, oh? Huh. That's fake, but I'll try. But yes, good. Yes.
Good. So I will at least once, maybe twice a week, just poke.
Yes. A plan.
Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, I'll send an email with that stuff. Just like, here's the things that we said. Oh, and then also Vivian, so for you, would it be interesting or helpful if I was like, I mean, because it may, like maybe if people don't show up or something, I can just like use the time for the class time for like live editing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's fine. Yeah.
I can just,
Like I sometimes have opinions, but like if I were even involved in it, I'd be like, somebody's editing it, and then they ask me a question, or I look at it and be like, actually, can we use a different take for that one?
Mhm.
And then that's my input.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. So I mean, we can, and maybe that's like, maybe then that's the prep that I'm doing for the class. Like I'll just do a little edit. I mean, and that same goes for maybe your project as well. I could prep your edit to a certain point instead of working on like a lesson plan. And then, because, I can screen share and then we can like watch a cut like that and then people can offer feedback.
Mm.
Cool.
So that is perhaps a plan as well.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. I'm glad you guys are doing well and, existing in a time vacuum. Doing well at existing in a time vacuum.
Yeah.
Shelter life really prepares you for it, I think.
Yeah, like especially equipped.
The only weird thing is there aren't like 3 other people in the same small room with me with nowhere to go and nothing to do.
It's a little lonely. Like Oliver locks himself in his room because it's like, that's fair. Sometimes you just gotta. But then it's like, but now what do I do? Huh. Guess I only exist in Animal Crossing. This is fine. You can change your hair color at will, so it's fine.
Yeah, they have not delivered that in real reality yet. I
No.
want that still. Like the,
Yeah, like I want purple hair today. Purple.
or just like for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always get, it just costs a lot of money to do stuff like that. You can always get poser paste and stuff, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. That kind of scares me though. I feel like everything that I've seen of that stuff is like, I'm like, what is in this? And like, why does it come from a place where I don't trust the manufacturing and the toxicity labeling?
You see, that's why you buy Good Die Young. Haley Williams of Paramore helped for this.
Oh,
Whole
okay.
company for this.
Okay, good to know.
Anyway,
See, I just didn't know where to go.
there.
And now I do. Okay, well, I don't know. That was all I have. That's all I have to give.
That's valid.
Yeah.
I really have to pee, so it's probably for the best.
You can always just go.
That's
Come
true. I have FOMO.
Okay, well, I take that as a high compliment then. If you're afraid, you were afraid of missing out on this, holding it. Okay, well, so I will immediately end this meeting.
Okay.
So you can go to the bathroom. All right, bye. Good to see you. I'm glad you guys are doing well.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.